David Maxwell Fyfe was a successful mid-20th century lawyer and politician. He wrote of his final elevation,
"To have become Lord Chancellor of Great Britain with no advantage of wealth, station or influence is something of which I hope my children are proud."
Nevertheless, he further wrote,
"I would describe my role as that of an actor, given a small walking-on role in a mighty drama. Few people may notice him, but he sees a good deal."
For a short period, between the late autumn of 1945 and the early winter of 1950, Maxwell Fyfe emerged from the shadows to become centre stage in the shaping of the world that was to come. Although in opposition in Parliament, and at times at loggerheads with the establishment, Maxwell Fyfe played a role first as prosecutor, memorably cross-examining Goering at the Nuremberg war crimes trials, and then as the driving force behind the European Convention on Human Rights.
I was baptised Thomas David Maxwell Fyfe Blackmore, and I've always been haunted by my grandfather. Now my family share my haunting. He described himself as a Victorian, as he was born only a year before the end of that extraordinary reign. This may seem a hopeful claim. However, the shadow of the Victorian age lies squarely across the 20th century. It wasn't, after all, until the mid-1960s that Britain had a Prime Minister who wasn't forged in that era. So this, then, although it's set in the late 1940s, is a Victorian ghost story.
So what made Maxwell Fyfe, and what did he believe? He was the creation of the land that bore him.
I have always been a romantic, and for me, the past is peopled with brave and generous spirits.
I dreamed I saw the Albion of ancient history, a sceptred isle, a precious stone set in a silver sea, possessed by giants and knights so bold, a mythic treasury. So fair this golden land, so free. So natural is the fairness of this land, that human hand should strive to be so fair, to rich as well as poor, for that is natural law, impartial justice free as air. No man or island of itself, entire and solitary, exists alone, but is one part of one great unity. For each and all must live in peace, that Albion may be a green and pleasant land, and free.
And he was forged by the history of his family. Maxwell Fyfe was his mother's only child. She, Isabel, was born and brought up in Dornoch.
To me, the old tales are very close. Uncle Hugh's report to the Napier Commission.
Hush, hush, time to be sleeping, hush. Hush, hush, dreams come a-creeping, dreams of peace and of freedom, so smile in your sleep, bonny babe. Once our valleys were ringing with sounds of our children singing, but now she bleed till the evening, and sheilings stand empty and broken.
I have been elected delegate for Crick, as I am the executor of the late Donald Fraser, farmer and miller at Migdale, who was evicted under exceptionally painful circumstances in 1877. In 1785, the late John Fraser, on his return from the American War where he had served, took the mill and lands of Milton of Migdale, owned by the late distinguished agriculturalist George Dempster. A number of the Migdale tenants succeeded in obtaining in 1798 a perpetual lease of their holdings. The original tack is in my possession. It granted perpetual tenure.
Hush, hush, time to be sleeping. Hush, hush, dreams come a-creeping, dreams of peace and of freedom, so smile in your sleep, bonny babe.
In 1802, George Dempster was succeeded by Mr. William Soper Dempster, who adopted a different policy.
And who were the traitors who bound you, your loyal chiefs, who forced chains around you? This land bleeds, silent without you, never to wait your return.
John Fraser died in 1810 and was succeeded by his son Hugh, who occupied the farm until his death in 1876. During his occupancy, the farm was greatly improved.
Where was our fine Highland metal, our proud men, brave hearts in battle now stand cowed, herded like cattle, soon to be shipped o'er the ocean.
Hugh Fraser was lured into renouncing his perpetual tenure for a life tenure, though the dreadful consequences were not to follow until 60 years had elapsed.
Hush, hush, time to be sleeping. Hush, hush, dreams come a-creeping, dreams of peace and of freedom, so smile in your sleep, bonny babe.
When Hugh Fraser died in 1876, Mr. Walker, who'd acquired the estate by purchase in 1872, raised an action of removing against Donald Fraser, the heir at law.
We stood with heads bowed in prayer, while factors laid our cottages bare. The flames fired the clear mountain air, and many lay dead in the morning.
Decree of removal was obtained to take effect on the 15th of October 1877.
No use pleading or praying, all hope gone, no hope of staying.
The shock was so great, and the idea of removing so unexpected, that Fraser's health gave way, and he died broken-hearted on the 14th of October 1877, the day before he should have had to remove from the home of his fathers.
Dreams
I hold that it is monstrous that in our country there should exist a system of land laws whereby such a chain of events as those narrated above could be at all possible.
Fyfe, too, was haunted by his past. His mother's tale of her uncle's suicide on the day that he was cleared from their mill, stripped of his natural rights and fundamental freedoms.